Hello again and welcome back to our course on Project 2019. Now I've added the basic tasks that are needed for the road fix project. We're of course using the building calendar with a 12-hour working day, and I've scheduled the fix to take 2 weeks. So we start out with marking out the site, which you can see here, task ID 2, and then we move on to preparing the equipment, setting up health and safety, so on and so forth. And then we have a task here in the middle, drill and clear. And then finally we have surface work, edges and paving, and finish and clear site. So the whole lot should take roughly 2 weeks. Now I'm sure if you're a road builder or road layer, then you'll know that there's a lot more involved than that, but I really just want to demonstrate the use of calendars here, so I've tried to keep this reasonably simple. Now the first thing to point out is that when I added the resources, the work resources to this project, and let's just jump across to our resource sheet, each of them by default gets the building calendar. And for each of them, not only could I choose one of the other calendars if it was more appropriate to them, so I could click the drop down and select a different calendar, but I could actually create individual calendars for them. Now, having said that, I don't actually need to create individual personal calendars for each of the work resources, because as you'll see, I can set up exceptions for each work resource, such as their own holiday, vacation time, perhaps their own days off, and I can set those up within the existing structure and framework for calendars. And I'll demonstrate that to you in a while. Now let's jump back to the Gantt chart. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned before is that if I take an individual task, like say this middle one here, drill and clear, let's just open that up. There's an option in here on the Advanced tab to have a task calendar. So not only can you have a project calendar, you can also have a resource calendar, as I pointed out just now, and you can also have task calendars. A task can have its own calendar, and the first example I want to show you here is an example of where a task has its own calendar. And what I'm going to do here, for the sake of relative simplicity, is to say that the noisiest part of this particular job is the drilling and the clearing operation. And given that the building calendar goes from 7 in the morning till 8 in the evening, in order to get the permission to do this work, we've been told that we have to restrict our hours of work on this particular task to just 8 hours a day instead of 12. Now, that will almost certainly mean, in terms of the project, of course, that elapsed time on the project will be longer. But let's first look at how we can apply a different calendar to that task. Now, at present, that task is covering a duration of 4 working days, and we have 2 people working on it at 12 hours a day each. So that's a 96-hour task, and we're going to need to restrict it to 8 hours a day. So the resources themselves, Jenny and Max, are available for the full 12-hour day. So the problem is not with them, the problem is with the task. So it's important to apply the restriction on hours to the task. Now you might say, well, why not just use the standard calendar? That's 8 hours a day. And that would approximately work. The trouble is that the lunchtime break in the standard calendar is not the same as the lunchtime break in our building calendar. And therefore, although we would be showing 8 hours a day of work in the standard calendar, the resources are scheduled to take their break from 1 o'clock until 2 o'clock, and 1 o'clock until 2 o'clock is working time in the standard calendar. So what I'm going to do is to create what I'm going to call a quiet time calendar, which is just an 8-hour day, but based on the building calendar. So I'm going to go up to change working time, and I'm going to say create new calendar. And I'm going to call it building quiet work. And I'm going to make a copy of the building calendar and click on OK. And then what I'm going to do for this new calendar is to go into working weeks, look at the details, and I'm going to select Monday to Friday. And I'm going to change these times, so it's going to set it to 9 AM to 1 PM and 2 PM. to 6 p.m. and those apply from Monday through Friday. So let's click on OK and OK again. I'm now going to open up the drill and clear task, and I'm going to jump into advanced, and I'm going to select the calendar as building quiet work. Now watch carefully what happens to task ID 7 when I do this. Of course it gets extended, and instead of being a 4-day task, it's now a 6-day task. And of course, in turn, that has pushed the end of my project out to the Monday the following week. So in the exercise that I'm going to set you in the next section, exercise 9, this is going to be our attempt to fix this particular problem. Before we do that though, we've got one other little bit of bad news, and that is that Max is going to need to take Wednesday off next week. So let's set Max up with a day off next Wednesday. I'm going to go into change working time. I'm going to go up to the top here, and I'm going to select the calendar for Max. So these are calendars that I've also set up, which you should know how to do by now. And I'm going to set an exception for Max because he can't work next Wednesday. So let's say that he's going to the hospital. And the date next Wednesday, so let's say that's Wednesday next week, is the 27th. And it finishes on the 27th as well. And if I wanted to, I could check the details, and I can see that's now set to non-working. The recurrence pattern is daily, but there's only one occurrence, so it's only going to occur once. And I'm going to click on OK, and OK again, and that's added that in. Now we've got a bit of a problem here. Everything is running into that 3rd week. But fixing that problem is what exercise 9 is all about, so please join me for that.